Hare Krishna. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Make Japa Great Again. It's an opportunity we just make a few points about chanting the holy name, because along with chanting Hare Krishna, there's also cultivation of knowledge of why we're chanting and what it means to chant. In the general category, it's called Sambandha Gyan, or remembering our relationship. Can you turn off the proper chanting while I'm talking, please? And as far as specific instructions go, there are quite a few that Prabhupada gives, but one of the chief instructions that he repeats throughout his purports, and in one purport he says 3 times, and that is, before chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, the one should say Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Prabhupada goes on for a few more lines, and then he says it again before chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. One should chant Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Gadadhara. And then he says it a third time in the same purport, that before chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare, you should chant. So by the time you finish that purport, you're already halfway through your rounds. For emphasis, things are mentioned in Shastra and in commentaries 3 times. So that's an important point, because having access to Krishna through his holy name is not absolutely guaranteed, although Krishna's all merciful, and anyone who even accidentally says his name will be greatly benefited according to the Srimad Bhagavatam and other Shastras. Nonetheless, as sadhakas, those who are trying to perfect our chanting, sad comes from or sadhu or sadhaka comes from the root word sad, which means to achieve success in something. So there's a way in which we have to have this entryway through Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. That's a specific instruction. It's important to remember. And something else I find helpful is that there are stages to attain. When we think of practice or a destination, and we think of it as a long journey, it's always helpful to see the steps. As anyone can take a small step, but making the long journey to a destination that's not clear to us yet might be onerous. And one might conceive of the steps of chanting Hare Krishna in 3 ways, or in 3 levels, at 3 levels. One is the medicinal stage. And the word medicine, comes from med, which means to take appropriate measures. And it also means to submit to something disagreeable. So there will be a time in chanting Hare Krishna in the medicinal stage, and it's good to know that one's taking it as a remedial measure, and that it may seem disagreeable. And at that stage, one has to trust the doctor. When you take medicine that's disagreeable, and someone says, well, why are you going to take it then? You said, because the doctor said, although it's bitter, it'll cure my liver. So therefore I'm taking it, and I trust that's true. Shukadeva Goswami, in a famous verse in the Bhagavatam, mentions nirnitam, which means that all the doctors have agreed this is the medicine. And the next stage one could call the nourishing stage, and the word nourish comes from nourris, Old French, which means to maintain. And there's a sense at that stage that we're feeling maintained by the holy name, that is, we're able to do the right things, control our senses and so forth, and we start to realize, just as one's feeling the effects of some medicine that one's getting cured or that one's getting strength from taking it. So in a similar way, in a nourishing stage, we may notice that this is what's maintaining us. This is what's keeping us steady in our practice of devotional service or in our lives in general. And third stage, which could also be called the pure stage of chanting, is called the relishing stage. And interesting, the word relish has as a noun and as a verb. As noun, relish, actually literally means that there's it leaves you with a taste. In other words, if you take some relish, maybe in our context, mango pickle, afterwards you still taste the mango pickle. There's a pleasant after effect. And also the relish means that you have a sense of enjoyment in taking it. It's not medicine, it's not just nourishment, but it's a source of enjoyment for someone who's engaged in it. So in parallel, as I mentioned before, Prabhupada talks about the stage at which we're chanting imperfectly. Means there's some obstacles due to offenses. And then there's a clearing stage where we start to notice that the obstacles are being moved out of the way. And then finally he said there's a pure stage of chanting. So thinking in terms of steps and making advancement towards the next step is always helpful. And I wonder if you have any reflections before we go back into japa mode about anything I said so far. Pamini Bhakti's always ready. Go ahead. Just give her a microphone.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. I was hearing to Sachinandan Maharaj on this topic exactly, and he was saying that Brahmananda, who accompanied Prabhupada, was mentioning that Prabhupada was one time doing kirtan with a group of devotees, and his kirtan went on for 3 hours. And he was telling that if you ask any kirtan player what it takes to do a kirtan for 3 hours is a very long time, especially Prabhupada being so old also. And then Brahmananda asked Prabhupada, how can you sing for so long? And Prabhupada, the reply was that if you like something, then you don't realize how much time it takes. You can just keep doing for a long time, very long time, endlessly. So there is no end to it. But you need to have that taste, and you need to really like it. And so he advised that you should keep association with devotees. And that's how you will develop the taste. So I was reflecting on that.
Thank you very much. Una más. Keep it in the family.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Thank you for the nice analogy about the stages. Many times you mentioned that humans love ladders. Like as soon as they see a ladder, they want to climb. And as soon as you mention these stages, then like we always think of the next step. We know where we are and the next step to go to. So it was helpful motivation from the stage that we have medicinal stage, nourishing stage, and relishing stage. Likewise, even the entire 16 rounds, maybe like the first 4 and 8 are in that initial medicinal stage, then the 8 to 12 could be nourishing stage, and then now, you're coming closer to 16, so you can start relishing it. I was just thinking that it just helps to put those milestones in between to start thinking like that. So thank you, Maharaj, for inspiring us.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point about how it might happen even within the chanting of one's japa session.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Maharaj, as I was thinking about when we go to a doctor, first we need to acknowledge that I have a disease. And I think that is a very big first step, because eventually if you think that you need to have a cure, then you will be very eager to take the medicine. So I think to me the first step is to first acknowledge that I really need this one. And once you have that one, I hope and assume that things will go much better. Because otherwise, if you get medicine, you know what, I'm good. I don't need to.
I'm fine. No
Yeah.
need. That's a good point. Thank you very much. Shall we? Hare Krishna. So we finished with just a short discussion. And one of the points is about stages and climbing ladders. There's a way that our acharyas, for example, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in the Madhurya Kadambini talks about devotional service in various stages, starting with awakening of faith in the process of devotional service, and then coming into the association of devotees, and then facing obstacles, overcoming obstacles, and coming to steadiness. And then it goes on from there. And just considering the main practice of Krishna consciousness, chanting Hare Krishna, and the one vow that we take in the positive, which is to maintain 16 rounds, minimum every day. We also talked earlier about stages in chanting. As Prabhupada mentions, the offensive stage, the clearing stage, and then the pure stage. And I had mentioned it in the context of medicinal stage, nourishing stage, and the relishing stage. And I was thinking about the characteristics of those stages, and one of the ways I thought about it was that the beginning stage or the medicinal stage is characterized by I have to. And then the next stage, nourishing stage, is that I want to. And the third stage of the relishing stage is I like to. And Jai Madhava Prabhu had pointed out that within any japa period we might go through those various stages. And I'm just curious about any thoughts you might have about stages or the metaphor of a ladder and climbing a ladder, and what ways you might have conceived it or that you find it helpful. Yes, Malini.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I was reflecting on the medicinal stage part of it. There's so many medicines, and they're all good medicines, but not every medicine takes you to the right destination. Like chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra takes you to the highest destination, which is to the pure love of God. And also about even the medicine may be the right medicine, but if it is not administered in the proper dosage, the person may not be able to get the right advantage of that medicine. So like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave 64 rounds, but according to the condition of the current age of the Kali Yuga, maybe we may not be able to take the 64 rounds dosage in the beginning stages. So having the right doctor administering the right medicine in the right dosage is so important for the person to absorb that medicine and then climb up the ladder. So.
Oh yeah, that's really good. Also, Omkar, who's finishing his doctorate in Ayurvedic medicine and who'll be out here next week, was telling me that in Ayurveda, when the doctor personally hands you the medicine, then it's more potent. So there's a personal touch to everything. And then when I was telling Nirkula about that, she said, oh yes, and also when a mother feeds the child with the hand, then there's also that sense of nourishment. I was thinking of that when you mentioned the right dosage, and then there's the right person. So you feel that synergy. I don't like that word. You feel a sense of trust that you're getting it from the right person. Thank you. That was really good. A couple more? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
I was just thinking during Sadhu Sangha, Mahatma Prabhu, he mentioned during Japa or Kirtan, he said, and it struck me when you said, I want to stage. In that stage, he said, if you cannot feel Krishna, if you cannot catch him, catch it from others. And I could hear Malini Mataji chanting and Pavni Bhakti Mataji and Vaiśeṣika, and I was like, my mind was getting distracted, and I remembered him saying that, catch it from others, catch it from your ears. You see Krishna from your ears. And I was like, if they are chanting, then I have to, and I should do that. So
yeah, that's really nice. I've felt that before myself, being near somebody, and my chanting is meandering, and then all of a sudden they're like, wow, they're really, the way they're saying it, it sounds like they're really tasting something. And then it becomes encouraging, right? Yeah, I just remember a godbrother I was chanting with, and it almost sounded like he was drinking a beverage or something, the way he was chanting. And I was thinking, I want to drink some of that. Apar Gaurangi. Oh, and there's Ashok Kṛṣṇa. I think Ashok Kṛṣṇa is first according to the algorithm of the machine. Go ahead, Ashok Kṛṣṇa, and then Apar Gaurangi.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you for giving this analogy. I was the medicinal and the relishing and nourishing stages. I was thinking about this is important to have the end goal or the vision in the mind, because often we give up or we quit from the first stage itself. So knowing that what's coming, or since we haven't had that opportunity to experience what would eventually happen if you get to the final goal, right? So it's important to have that vision in mind up front, so you can aim or desire for that higher taste with that, right? Yeah.
It's so important in any discipline, because as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, anyone can rise at any time. It's the nature, we can rise, but we have to be able to see it. It's helpful to have exemplars of it, and also nothing succeeds like success. If we can see it in ourselves also, that becomes even more encouraging. Thank you for bringing that up. And Apar Gaurangi for the close.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Actually, earlier I didn't have the permission to unmute, so I couldn't speak. Thank you for the beginning. I was remembering once you said that from going to point A to point B, we have multiple half points. So even with chanting, we apply that from the beginning stage, it might look that the end stage is very far. But if we try to cover the journey of those small half points, then it's more feasible.
Yeah, thank you. From Zeno's, the Greek philosopher Zeno, who said, you can't ever get anywhere because there's an unlimited number of halfway points. Each point you reach also has another halfway point, therefore, he postulated you can never go anywhere. But it was disproved by either algebra, advanced algebra, or calculus. And if somebody knows what the proof is against that, or the disproof of his theorem, I'd like to hear about it. Does anybody know? Come on, you all take calculus. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Shri Panchatattva, Shri Shri Radha Madhad Mohan, Shri Harinam Prabhu, if you so desire, please empower us to ascend the 3 stages of chanting Hare Krishna and come to the pure stage or the relishing stage, so that we can engage in more service to your lotus feet. Thank you for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. Everyone agrees with this prayer in whole or in part, please unmute and say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.